There's a funny thing about whiskey and cigars. They both have reputations for being intimidating.
Welcome to the Cigar and Whiskey Podcast, where every episode takes you deeper into the stories, traditions, and flavors that make cigars and spirits unforgettable. So pour a glass, light a stick, and settle in.
Whisper single malt in a crowded room, and suddenly everyone's an expert. Light up a cigar at a party, and you'll get at least 3 unsolicited opinions on how you're cutting it wrong. But the truth is, whiskey and cigar pairings for beginners don't have to feel like a test. They're meant to be enjoyed, not survived. Let's set the scene. Imagine you've just walked into a lounge. Leather chairs, warm golden light, the faint clink of glasses. Across the room, a gentleman swirls his glass of Scotch like he's auditioning for a cologne commercial. Next to him, someone is holding a cigar like it's the last torch of civilization. You're thinking, oh no, I'm not ready for this level of drama. And you're right, you don't need to be. Because pairing cigars and whiskey is less about posturing and more about pleasure. Now, when we talk whiskey basics, let's be honest. Bourbon is that easygoing friend who never judges you for drinking cola out of a red plastic cup. Sweet, warm, reliable. Scotch? Scotch is the moody poet of the group, sometimes fruity and delicate, sometimes so peaty it tastes like you're licking a campfire. Rye whiskey? That's your spicy cousin who always shows up uninvited but somehow makes the party better. And Irish whiskey. Smooth, approachable, the one you can take home to your mother. Cigars have their own cast of characters. A Connecticut Shade is the golden retriever of cigars. Friendly, mild, and happy to be there. Maduro, that's the cigar equivalent of a dark chocolate brownie that went to finishing school. Rich, indulgent, but still sophisticated. Habano, spicy, earthy, bold, like that friend who tells the punchline before you've even finished your drink. The first principle of pairing is simple. Match the strength. Don't hand a rookie smoker a powerhouse Nicaraguan Maduro and a glass of cask-strength bourbon unless you want them to see God before dessert. Mild with mild, bold with bold. It's like dancing. If one partner is stomping on the other's toes, nobody's having fun. The second principle? Play with flavors. Complementary or contrasting, both can work. A creamy cigar with a peppery rye can feel like fireworks. A sweet bourbon with a chocolatey Maduro is basically dessert in slow motion. And yes, you can pair an Islay Scotch with a cigar, but let's be honest, that's like throwing 2 divas on the same stage and hoping they don't fight over the spotlight. I once heard a guy in a lounge say, "I only drink whiskey neat. Anything else is an insult to the spirit." 5 minutes later, he was happily chewing the ice cubes from someone else's old-fashioned. That's whiskey and cigars in a nutshell. A lot of opinions, not all of them consistent. The trick is to ignore the noise and enjoy what actually works for you. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Pour a dram, relight your cigar, and we'll continue with some beginner-friendly pairings you can actually try tonight.
You're listening to the Cigar and Whiskey Podcast, your companion for cigar culture, whiskey wisdom, and everything in between. Want more? Visit us anytime at cigarandwhiskeyguide.com for articles, reviews, and pairing tips.
All right, let's talk specifics. You don't need to take out a second mortgage to enjoy this hobby. Start simple. Jameson and a Connecticut Shade cigar. Smooth, mellow, friendly. Think of it as the vanilla ice cream of pairings. Everybody likes it. Nobody regrets it. Next, try Maker's Mark bourbon with a Maduro cigar. That wheated sweetness meets dark cocoa and espresso. It's like pairing pancakes with maple syrup. Almost too good, but who's complaining? Feeling a little adventurous? A Dominican Habano with Glenlivet 12. You've got fruity Scotch on one side, earthy spice on the other. It's like a dinner party where the polite guest and the storyteller actually hit it off. And if you're ready to turn up the volume, Buffalo Trace with a Nicaraguan Maduro. Now you're in bold territory. Vanilla, toffee, oak from the bourbon balancing pepper, earth and chocolate from the cigar. It's rich, it's powerful, and it might just make you feel like you should be plotting your next great American novel. Now let's talk mistakes, because they're half the fun. One rookie mistake is puffing on your cigar like it's a competition to see who can make the biggest smoke cloud. Slow down. A puff every 45 seconds is just right. Another mistake? Starting your first pairing with a 120 proof monster bourbon. Unless your idea of a good evening is Googling, "Why does my ceiling spin?" Maybe start with something gentler. And hydration. Don't underestimate it. Water is your secret weapon. It resets your palate, tames the alcohol, and keeps you from confusing rich oak with, I think my tongue just caught fire. One of my favorite cigar lounge memories was watching a guy insist that his Cuban, which he was smoking backwards, by the way, was the best thing since sliced bread. No one corrected him. Why? Because he was happy. And that's the heart of it. Your pairing doesn't need anyone else's approval. If it makes you smile, it's the right one. Here's a little cultural aside. Did you know Winston Churchill smoked so many cigars that during World War II, British factories actually made a special oxygen mask with a little cutout so he could keep puffing? That's dedication. Meanwhile, Mark Twain once swore he gave up smoking cigars 1,000 times, which, when you think about it, is probably the most honest line about cigars ever written. And Frank Sinatra? He was buried with a bottle of Jack Daniels and a pack of Camels. If that doesn't tell you how personal these rituals are, nothing will. So, pour something approachable, cut a cigar that feels friendly, and give yourself permission to enjoy the ritual. Whiskey and cigars have been companions for centuries, not because they're complicated, but because they turn ordinary nights into something worth remembering. Thanks for joining me on this beginner's journey into whiskey and cigar pairings. If you want more stories, tips, and pairing ideas, check out the written guide at cigarandwhiskeyguide.com. And of course, subscribe to Smoke Signals on Substack, your passport to cigars, whiskeys, and the lifestyle that surrounds them. Until next time, smoke slow, sip slower, and savor the moment.
Thanks for listening to the Cigar and Whiskey podcast. Subscribe and share with a fellow aficionado, and keep the journey going at cigarandwhiskeyguide.com, where every puff and pour has a story.